Okay, there we go. It's all done. Sauce the boss. Dude,
That's what
I
they call
looked
me.
at your Instagram page. Somebody sent it to me. They were like, this guy does a bunch of filming for BMX, right? And I'm interested in all sorts of action sports. And I look at it, and the first thing I see is these old cars. It says Flipper on it. You're doing some video about how you can sell a house with almost no money or no money or something. And I'm like, what a awesome guy. He's like going all over the place doing all sorts of things, man.
Yeah, yeah, I've been at it. I've been flipping and riding and filming and all that shit simultaneously for a long time. So um, yeah, I don't know.
So what
Been at it for quite a while.
what uh what got you like
Wait, so is there, wait. Did somebody just send you that like recently? Because that video you're talking about, I just posted the other day.
oh yeah, no, they sent me your page and then that was like the first video that was on it and then I went back through and then I
So
almost asked you what's that?
someone sent you that like a couple days ago.
Yes. Yeah.
So not only do we not know each other and we've never had a conversation ever, you also you just discovered who I was like 2 days ago.
Correct. Yeah.
That's fucking cool. Yeah, for anyone watching this, uh, I actually don't even know your name. What is your name?
My name's Aaron.
Aaron. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
Um, for for anyone watching this, Aaron hit me up like I don't know last night. Was like, hey, you want to do this? Is the extent of what we've said to each other prior to this. Hey, do you want to do my podcast? I said, sure. He sends me a Zoom link, and I said, cool. See you at 7. Like that. That's all we've said to each other ever. So I just want to preface this whole thing with that.
Yeah, then we just get to know each other like face to face while we record it and then put it on the internet for everybody to hear our getting to know each other conversation.
Yes, I just wanted to preface it with that because it's. I think most people that um, do a podcast, they like at least kind of maybe know each other a lot of times. So that is definitely not the case here. I don't know. I haven't even so much as scrolled down your Instagram or anything. So we're almost in the same boat, realistically. You might have taken a scroll and I didn't. I think that's the only difference.
I tried to look up a few things because I don't like to know a ton about my guests before they come on. That's just the way I roll. I like to just let my mind wander and ask questions. That's the way I work. But I tried to at least see like what your real name was and this and like do some research. You can't search Sauce the Boss or Sauce anywhere and get
Yeah,
anything.
you can.
Can you?
You so totally can.
I
If you
googled
put
it.
Sauce the Boss BMX,
Yeah,
put Sauce the Boss BMX, it will come up.
and it'll come up. I even put Sauce the Boss BMX filmer. I know you did a cult video because I saw something on that like you did a didn't you do some filming for the cult crew?
Yeah, like probably the most recent one was Eddie Queller. Like probably came out a month or two ago.
Okay. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
saw like
but yeah, I've done a couple things for them.
yeah, I saw a couple of them and I follow the cult crew or whatever because they're like I don't know, it's just something about them that seems cool. Like the guys are pretty rad that ride for them and whatnot. So, but that's pretty much the extent of it. Now, I didn't like I said I didn't go crazy deep. I googled it. I look around and I see a bunch of like barbecue sauces, Sauce King, and I'm like, why is that showing up? I put BMX in there.
Yeah.
But then I do know from listening to your podcast with the beginning of the podcast you had with Cam that
Mhm.
you were the number one search thing for like a kid, 9-year-old kid falling on a bike or something on YouTube.
Fat Kid BMX Fall. If you type that in, I still pop up first on
Really?
YouTube.
What is?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the
When I was
video. What
when
is
I
that all
was
about?
when I was just a little ass kid. I don't know. I've been filming stuff since I was I don't know. I'm only 23 right now, and I think I probably uploaded my first video in like 2008. So what would that be, like 13 years ago? So I was probably like 10, 11 in that video, and I've always been fairly thick, except for like when I was like 15, I really got to like fucking I just really wanted to fuck like real bad. So I just lost like 70 pounds, just went on a fucking spree, and then slowly just kind of gained it back. But other than that, I've been pretty thick my whole life. So I'm pretty happy to hold the crown as number one on YouTube for Fat Kid BMX Fall. I just got to put on for my community. As you can see, it is in fact still number one right here. Can this focus? Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna just.
Oh.
That's right. We got 13K on that.
13K on that.
10 years ago. Uploaded March 15th, 2010. So yeah, I was like maybe 12 there.
That's pretty rad that you stayed number one for that thing right there.
I mean, at least I'm number one in something.
And that's a ton of views for just a kid falling on his bicycle. It's not even like a crazy epic crash. You get right back up.
I know, it's nothing. But I don't know. I was pretty on top of it as far as like titling stuff and like writing a fairly good description and like doing a shit ton of tags. Like before it was like common knowledge, I think, to probably do that. But I think the reason, honestly, is probably just because I put like 1,000 tags on it. Like everything you could imagine, from falling and motorsports and freestyle BMX and all this shit, skateboarding. So that's probably why it pops up first. I mean, it probably pops up if you just type in like, I don't know, how to lose weight. I probably put that stuff in there. Like there's just everything. I think the tag is what did it. You know?
That stuff blows my mind, man, because it's not like my forte. Obviously, like talking, I'm okay at. Like meeting people, talking to people, that's fun. That's fun stuff. This is all the hard stuff, like the technical things, YouTube stuff. I keep learning as I go. It's fun to learn stuff, though. I love to do that. But you throwing the tags out at such a young age, early on in YouTube, or way back then, it was kind of early on in YouTube. It's kind of wild that you knew to do that. Did you know to do that, or did you just do it?
No, I just saw the box that said tags, and I probably Googled like, oh, what's a tag? And then it said, it's stuff, something that could direct someone to your video, like a keyword. So I just I don't know, more or less did what I was told by YouTube. Like they give you the space, and I just did it. And I try to do it well because I was a clout hungry little fucking child.
But look, it led you to filming BMX, like all these pro riders, and making some pretty rad movies.
Yeah, that's what it definitely progressed to. As time went on, it was, I've told the story a lot of times on different things, but basically, we had a little crew at the beginning. It was like, well, actually, at the beginning, it was not so little. It was like, we were like 40 deep everywhere we go, because I grew up in more or less the suburbs of LA, I guess. And, not rich, not poor, just kind of like in the middle. So it's kind of this perfect environment where there's a shitload of kids, and the parents, not rich or anything, but enough money to like buy their kid a bike. And, there's tons of schools and stuff nearby. So it was just easy to like squat up like crazy when we were little. And we all started, me and my common crew kind of started like fairly young. So the beginning, it was just a shit ton of people. And then as time progressed, obviously people get girlfriends and cars, or just lose interest, or whatever, they get jobs, as time goes on. And, the crew whittles down after a while, but, a lot of those dudes that stuck with it, a lot of my best friends to this day ended up going pro. And I think it was, probably had something to do with the fact that we were all in that together. And, we had two filmers, myself and my buddy Francis Castro. And, so like we not only had a lot of people to keep everyone else motivated, but also, doing a lot of filming and, chasing that, sponsorship and whatever. And we're right in the heart of everything in Southern California, where all the big companies are and stuff. so you can reach out and touch the pros that exist already. It doesn't seem maybe that far fetched in your head. And long story short, a lot of those dudes end up going pro, and just by the nature of them having success, I kind of rode along with them because I was their filmer from the jump.
Yeah, except that you put
Is
a
the
lot of
long and
hours
short of
in
it.
filming, you know? Like you put a lot of effort and there's a like a real talent to getting the correct angles and the timing and all that good stuff. And you rode BMX with them, so you know, but also you put a lot of time in filming, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, unfathomable amount of hours into filming. But honestly, I'm not like an artisty kind of guy. Like I was never really like one to like geek out on filming. Like I got good at it because I did it a lot, but I wasn't like super crazy like passionate like I wanted to become this like filmmaker or anything. It was just like, you're the fat kid on the block, you can't really ride as good as us, so you better get a new job. And I found that job with filming. I was always a little bit interested in it, so just kind of started doing it more or less for that reason. And just by the nature of doing it all the time, kind of got pretty good at it. And now I would say I'm you know not half bad. And like you said, I know the angles and all that jazz. Um, but yeah, no, never really like super crazy passionate about it. Just kind of came from doing it a lot,
That
and I was
that's wild.
more interested in just being a part of the crew. And those are my friends. And I like being out and about, like in LA one day and you're seeing two homeless people fuck on the sidewalk, and then you're in Beverly Hills the next and you see fucking Range Rovers going by, and then you're in Irvine the next day and you get busted by the cops like 6 times. It's just like I just like the I just like being out and about and just seeing the world through the lens of a bike rider and a little hoodlum. So I don't know. That's kind of more so why I was so involved. It wasn't because I was like, trying to make movies one day or get hired by a bike company to, film for them full time or anything like that.
That's awesome. You don't. It's so funny to hear that you don't like. I'm not really crazy passionate about being behind a camera or geeking out. I just want to hang out with the guys that are doing all these cool tricks, and they're all my friends. So I got to do something. This is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to feel useless. Like I can think of a couple people that used to like hang out with us and um, just kind of don't have a purpose. Like you're not in front of the camera, you're not behind it, you're not a photographer, you're not really providing anything. And like if I was in that position, I just don't think I just feel useless. Like I would just stop coming around probably. Like
That
not a
it,
knock on any of those people if you think I'm talking about you, but I mean, I would personally, I just feel useless. Like I need something to do. And obviously I got into filming. Like I wasn't crazy passionate about it, but like I got into it and I got good at it, and I, enjoy editing and filming and everything. But, but yeah, that's, that's kind of that story.
it's kind of
I
funny. It's
guess.
kind of funny when you said like you needed a purpose because that like ties into a bunch of different things in life. Like a purpose is super important for everything that you're doing. Like if you need to feel a purpose of something, and I know exactly what you're talking about because I've been around those people too that like they're just there, and I can think of them and I can see them like I rollerbladed in the '90s, right? And that's I
Mhm.
can see them there with it's like they just rolled around and they were there, but they never did anything. And you're like, I don't even know exactly why you're here, but okay. You know what I mean? Like you think back about it, and you're like, huh, that's so weird. It's a weird concept to me to not feel like you want to be part of it, like and have a purpose in what's going on in the function of this group of people.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's like we didn't have a skate park in our like city, so it wasn't the kind of thing where like there's those guys at the skate park that are always just there like drinking fucking 40s or like moping around, or they do a couple tricks, they sit down all day. Like it wasn't that kind of thing with us because from a pretty young age, we were like hopping in the car and like going to fucking San Diego one day, LA, Riverside, like going significant, pretty significant distance away from home to go ride and film. And it's like, if you don't have a purpose, you ain't getting in the fucking car. Like we got a limited number of spots here. So if you're going to sit there and fucking dilly dally around, like don't get in, like stay here. We'll take someone else, So I was filming long before it came to that. Like I never really faced that, like, oh fuck, I can't get in the car if I don't film. I was already very into it by then, but I don't know. Like you said, like I said, and you reiterated, like we just gotta have some kind of purpose, or what the fuck are you doing? You might as well go hang out with, I don't know, the chess club or like someone else,
The chess club.
like what's the point of fucking risking getting tickets and injured and running around spending gas money and all this shit if you have no purpose, right? Because it's like there's a lot of risk and decent amount of money, I guess, if you're a teenager involved in doing all that stuff.
That's a very good point you make. There is a lot of risk in it, and what's the reward if you're not a part of it? You know what I mean? Like, what's the reward if you get busted at a university riding a spot? Like, okay, now you've got a ticket and you weren't even doing anything. You know what I mean? Like, you
got a
weren't
ticket
part
for
of
no
it.
reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least if you were there for and had a purpose, you were in front of the camera, filming a clip, trying a clip, or behind it, or fuck, even if you're just like the designated spliff roller. I mean, there's a spot in the car for that guy. I mean, then at least you were there for a reason. That ticket means something. But I'm actually more curious about the state of the rollerblading industry. How did you get into it? Why did you stop? How long was your career as a rollerblader? Why did you stop rollerblading? And what the fuck happened to the rollerblading industry? Because it just evaporated in the mid 2000s. Like tell me about rollerblading a little bit.
So I started 90, what was it? 95, 94, 95. I think it was 95. Mm-hmm. Right in the edge of there. And I did it for about 3 years every single day, dude. Like, it was my life. I loved it. I used to ride BMX, did a little bit of dirt jumping and all that stuff. And then this bike shop had rollerblades. I rented them. And I was cruising around, saw these dudes carrying like this little practice rail over to a mall. And I was like, let's go check that out. What are those guys doing? And so me and my buddy went over there, and I saw him grind for the first time, and we're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And I've told the story several times, but the reason, like, what attracted me to it is kind of funny. I go, how do you do that? And the guy showed me how to do that, and then get my feet on the rail and slide down. So I was like, I'm going to try it. And it went full send, and I jumped on, and my feet just went straight up in the air. I tailbone the rail, bam. I roll over, and I'm like, oh, dude, I'm doing this forever. That's so awesome. And it took me a little bit, and then I got back up, and I ended up getting it one grind before we left. And I was like, I don't even remember, but I got all those dudes' numbers, and we hung out pretty much every day for 3 years for the rest of that time. Like, that rest of my high school years right there, we're all just eat, sleep, breathe. I was in an X Games and then a NIST competition back in 95, I think the end of that year, and then 96, somewhere in there. Just one, and I wasn't any good, but like those little things right there made me better. Like after skating with the pros and all that, helped me improve and our crew improve and all that good stuff. But because that YouTube didn't exist then, so we had to go like, I'm in deep South Texas by the border of Mexico. There's barely a rollerblading scene, and then everybody else is in California or New York, So went through all that, but I kind of kept in touch with a few people that the guys from my past or whatever stopped for a long time. I actually picked it up probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And I've just been doing it. I love it. Like, I love it. But to answer your question about what happened to the state of rollerblading, because it was bigger than any of the action sports in the middle of the 90s. There's a lot of rumors as to what happened. One is that a guy who was involved with it in the ESPN side basically got mad because a commercial for ESPN didn't have any of the rollerblading in it, and it was big at the time. He was like, I don't know why it doesn't have rollerblading in it. He walked out, and the ESPN execs is like, all right, y'all are out of the X Games. Now, I don't know if any of that's true. It's stories that I've heard. But I mean, I don't know. There's rumors that it got too big too fast. Too much money was being paid out to everybody because there was money being paid out to, I mean, whoever they could get, they were throwing money at it. It's like if you're a 13-year-old bike rider kid and all of your friends, you've got millions of friends that are riding bikes, and you're just like, I'll pay you guys $60,000 a year to ride a bike. Cool. Bam, 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 bam. You know? And so there's some people say that did it. I don't know. It's picking up steam right now. There's a really strong underground scene with it, so that's cool. I'm the only rollerblader in the town that I'm at, pretty much. Like, there might be another one somewhere, but I'm pretty much a crew of one, and I'm 40 years old, and I'm at the skate park with a bunch of little scooter kids. I'm like, I don't know that this is appropriate, but I'm having fun anyway.
Damn. Yeah, I feel like rollerblading is like the SoundCloud rap of action sports. like the underground scene, you know?
Yeah. That's such a good way to put it, man.
And it's funny that you say that you started rollerblading in the parking lot of a mall in the mid-90s, because that is like literally, if I think about the mid-90s, that would be like the picture that comes to mind. Like a kid rollerblading, like walking out of the mall with a fucking pair of new wheel sneakers and like jumping off a curb, like doing a little like, you know, fucking, I don't know, kick out with your feet and like at a mall, and then like getting in like his mom's like, I don't know, Oldsmobile wagon or something. That's like what I picture of the 90s.
Well, it's really my mom drove a Ford wagon, so you're not too far off.
Nice. Taurus wagon?
Yeah.
Rad, dude. My mom had a Taurus wagon when I was a kid, too.
That's awesome. Oh, that is the perfect picture. What you saw is pretty much it. It's pretty much it. Although we hated Airborne because it was that exact thing that you described where you jump and click your heels to the side, and we're like, that's not it. But Chris Edwards was in it, so we watched it. Like that's the only reason we watched it. He did all the stunts. But we're like, oh man, that's not at all what we do. But it's yeah, I don't know what happened to it, man. I don't know. I'll tell you one thing, like I've always, even when rollerblading was crazy big and I got a chance to go up there and hang out with all those dudes, I spent a lot of time watching all the bike guys, like getting a chance to see Matt Hoffman ride a half pipe and Dave Mira, like a young Mira, and then like all the flatland was kind of big back then too. I don't know if it stayed strong, but there was a lot of guys doing it, and it was just like, Rad was my favorite movie as a kid. So, I mean, watching that stuff was like, these guys are insane. Like, bike riders have lost their minds. They're not only flying through the air, but they're flying through there with a hunk of metal that's going to stab them, and they're going to get smashed with it. Like, it hurts to fall on a bike, man.
Oh, you're not wrong. Yeah, I've seen the old bike penetrate a few people, but it's interesting you say it could be the X Games thing, because I think that probably has legs, because like BMX was kind of in the shitter in the early 90s too. I don't know the exact timeline because obviously I wasn't there, but I know that I believe it was the early 90s. It was pretty much in the shitter. And then X Games came out in 95, if I'm correct, and kind of helped. I think it was maybe sort of already on its way back, but X Games really helped propel it like back to where it was. And then, you know, by the late 90s, you had guys like Biz Jordan and, you know, some guys that are still around today, Jason Enns and stuff, that were getting paid like crazy, like you're talking about, like with the rollerbladers. But the difference was maybe that they were in X Games and, you know, it was kind of thriving, and you weren't like you weren't betting on the money coming in. It was already coming in. So they were actually able to like sustain it for at least a little while. Now, most BMX riders, if you're not like the top like 10, 20 guys, you probably don't get paid that well, but good enough to like, have a little apartment and make a living for sure. So it's interesting you say that. Maybe it would have been completely different had they not had that guy not walked out of that meeting.
It might be. I mean, the story kind of makes sense when I heard it, and I heard it like it's like when I heard it, I'm like, oh, it sounds like the dude that would do that. Like, you know what I mean? It sounds like it all sounds like something that would legitimately happen and go down that way. Like,
Yeah.
from the execs to ESPN to the guy that walked out, it's like you kind of figure, oh man, I can see that whole scene playing out. It's not even like, it doesn't even sound weird. Like, it sounds normal.
Yeah, no.
So
I buy it. I buy it.
But yeah, it's crazy how it just fell off the earth. Like, it was hard to get skates. So it's funny how it works, because it was hard to get skates because there wasn't enough people buying skates, and people are going out of business and just barely hanging on, and companies and stuff. Then COVID hits, and it's like a resurrection of people buying rollerblades, and all of a sudden there's new companies coming in, and people can't buy rollerblades now because they can't keep them in stock because they weren't prepared for everybody to rush and buy rollerblades. So it's like they're struggling with the thought of, when this all is over, is it gonna level off, or do we need to hedge our bet and buy more and put more money into this? There's a lot of that talk going around where it's like, how do we build it, but this time not throw so much money into it where we lose our heads on it and then it all crashes again?
Yeah, just don't get in over your head. That's a serious question. I mean, the same thing goes for BMX, and as far as I know, skateboarding too. When like this whole COVID deal hit, it was like I know my buddy Fu at Epic BMX, he had like the best. It's probably still going right now, to be honest, but especially when like all the stimulus checks were hitting and everything, like he was having like the best days, day after day after day after day, like increasing. And he's been in business for 20 years. So he's had a lot of good days. He's been through a lot of Christmases, a lot of, I don't know. He's been through a lot of shit. He's been there for a long time. So for him to be like, oh yeah, this is double what my best day previous ever was, like, that's insane. And not only that, he's the most popular BMX shop in at least California, if not like the whole country. As far as like, mom and pop BMX shops.
It is wild. It's kind of cool. I like to see everybody getting back outside and doing things and picking stuff up that they left behind because they went to some sort of 9 to 5. I mean, I can speak from experience where you're like, oh, it just is like, it's a drag, man. It's like, you don't realize it. You're like, oh, I'm too old to rollerblade. I mean, or you're too old to ride a BMX anymore. You're too old to skateboard. You've got a job. You've got kids. I'm 40 years old. It's like, you're not supposed to be playing at the park with the kids and hurting yourself because you need to go to work the next day. And then I started doing it again. I'm like, why did I even leave, man? Like, who cares? Like, if I'm gonna waste my life away not doing something that I have a crazy amount of fun doing, what's the point? I never did it. I wanted to be pro, but I never did it to be pro, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's just the thrill of the actual sport that I love. And so why would I stop doing something like that? It didn't make any sense. I'm like, I fell into the trap that I constantly was thinking never fall into. I fell into that trap just gradually without even realizing it. And then I'm like, oh crap, man. And that changed a lot of things of what I did in life from that point on. It's like build up momentum and doing things that I love. And now I'm here talking to you on a podcast.
Yeah. I kind of not exactly the same thing, but I kind of view it like how once a car is like, 20, 25 years old, the people that wanted it so bad when they were like 16 but couldn't afford it end up, buying it down the road because now they're like established and they have money and everything. So you see like, I don't know, like what's gone up like crazy the last like year. I don't know, like E36 M3s and stuff like right now, or, maybe like an Acura NSX, or I don't know, shit like that. It seems like it just really takes off. It hits like 20, 25 years. All those people that were fucking dreaming about it now have the money to buy it. And it's like that shit just goes off. It hits its dip in like 10, 15 years old. But then like 20, 25 years old, it comes back because of that. It's kind of what you're describing with rollerblading too, is you kind of like maybe got a job, but then you got your life, we never have it all figured out, but maybe somewhat comfortable, and then you're like, yeah, might as well come back, right?
Yeah, might as well. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
What
Can
got
I
you
give
into
you a tip?
what?
Can I give you a tip as a filmer and someone who has framed many things before?
Yeah.
And you said this was the hard part for you. What you want to do when you're framing this shot is put your head at the top, get your body in it. I'm sitting here staring at you, thinking about how I could just improve the quality of this podcast. So
I love it, dude. Here we go. How's that? Is that better?
that's perfect. Do it like that from now on.
Okay. It's fixed. There it is. See, I need this sort of help. So I have to have, like, I don't know if I need to pay you a consulting fee or how that works.
Yeah, I'm $3.75 an hour. I am. If you want more tips, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're going to set this screen down a little farther, you're going to need a light. I mean, now it's blocking your face. You got shade.
I don't have the light. All I have is this. I had kind of a decent setup. Didn't have the little ring light or anything, but then we decided we were going to have another kid, and so we have another kid, and we had that room that I had with the podcast got taken over by the other kid, and so I'm moved in. I'm in moving spots. Like, that's why you see the background is like this and whatever. I mean,
you're a mobile podcast.
Yeah, I'm definitely a mobile podcast for sure. For sure. Even inside my own house, I'm a mobile podcast.
Bitchin'. Well, at least now you're framed correctly in a mobile podcast.
And now I know. How to frame it. Head towards the top so you can see some of the body, right?
That's right. Fill up the whole screen.
Cool. I got it. Now I just got to get a good camera too where I can zoom it in good. Be awesome.
Fuck yeah, dude.
But how did you get into the car thing? So do you flip cars too, or do you just collect them?
No, I mainly flip them. I mean, I have a couple that I keep for myself, but mainly all the ones you see if you scroll down my page are mostly flips for the most part. And if you go back to like, I don't know, 2000, I don't know, like the beginning of my Instagram, I was flipping them back then too. So I started doing that. I don't know. I probably sold my first car when I was like 12. I discovered Craigslist when I was, I don't know, single digits somewhere, and thought it was like the greatest thing ever. And I don't think anybody really taught me, but it just like naturally made sense to me that like if I can buy something for less and sell it to someone else for more, then like Craigslist is the best thing ever, right? So, and I got to thank the realtor, actually. I got to thank the realtor that put on the neighborhood garage sale in my neighborhood. They would have it like once or twice a year, and that just fucking opened my whole imagination from a really young age. But anyways, I think I discovered Craigslist around that time, and I bought like a couple things at the neighborhood garage sale, just rolling around, put it on there, flipped it, made, I don't know, $10, $20 or something, but I was like super young. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like I'm doing this forever. Right. So I'm just going to flip shit forever. This is my job. This is my calling. I fucking love this. So before Gary Vee was telling you about it, before fucking American Pickers was on TV or like any of that shit, like Sauce was there, 8 years old, fucking hustling somebody at a garage sale and putting it on Craigslist and reselling it. Right. So that's how it started. And then from there, just kind of like worked its way up to like, from small items to like bicycles, because we were riding BMX too. And I would buy all my friends' kind of old parts and just like put them together, throw a paint job on it and, sell it. From there, maybe like a couple dirt bikes, and then just started doing cars even before I could drive them. I probably had like 10, I don't know, 5 to 10 flips under my belt before I even had a license, just because that was like I don't know, it was like the logical next step to just go to cars from what I was doing before. And my dad's a mechanic, and he's always been into like old cars. So I just kind of came to know about them naturally growing up. And in California, you have to smog vehicles built after 1975. And kind of like, I don't know, it could be a pain in the ass if you buy the wrong thing. So I just kind of vowed to like never buy anything made after 1975. Number one, just because I enjoyed the earlier stuff more, and also just because I didn't want to deal with the smog. So yeah, I mean that's kind of how that progressed and got started, and why they're all old cars specifically. If you look,
Yeah, no, I even saw your Baja Bug, and that thing it said like powered by Miata, and I'm like, dude, how cool is that thing? That's awesome,
oh,
dude.
that's a keeper. That one's just fun to go fuck around with. I just bought that a couple weeks ago, but I don't have any intention of flipping that one. That one strictly cheap fun. Cheap fun. I bought it for like 4 grand. It's Miata powered Baja Bug, so it's got like double the horsepower a Volkswagen motor would have, and it's built by the Japanese, which typically I'm not fond of, but in this case, I just want it to be turnkey and bulletproof. So the Japanese are pretty good at that, right? So um, I'm hoping that thing's just bulletproof and I can just go smash in the desert and have fun with it for, you know, without wasting a shit ton of money on like a long travel, buggy or something.
Yeah, it looked like a ton of fun. My first vehicle was a '74 Super Beetle.
Right.
So
I had one of those.
yeah, I loved driving that thing, man. It was so much fun, like so much fun. So when I saw it, I was like, dude, that's so cool, man. And you can modify them however you want, which is kind of cool. Like
Yes.
they're kind of like old Jeeps. They're just basically like a frame. You can put whatever you want in there and run around in it. And so that was it was cool to
Yeah.
see like that video. It's like, oh man, that's rad.
People build fucking replica Porsches on top of them.
Yep.
Shit. I mean, it's literally like platform to do with as you please. But my biggest struggle is going to be not wasting a ton of money on it, because I don't want it. I don't want it to get out of hand. I don't want to start buying $2,000 long travel suspension, and or not even 2,000, more like, I don't know, 6 or 7 thousand by the time you're done. But you could real easily get into that mode where you're like, well, since I did this, I got to do this, and because I did that, I got to do that. So like, my goal with that is just to keep it cheap and just go smash and have a good time and not end up accidentally spending 30 grand. It's my goal.
That's your goal. That's a good goal
Yeah.
to have. That's a really good goal. I accidentally spent 30 grand. I don't even know where it went. It's in the garage or out back.
Well, I don't mean all at once. Obviously, I'd noticed then, but if you go, 500 here, 1,000 here, 400 here, whatever, all of a sudden you look at your receipt book and you're like, holy fuck, I'm $28,000 into this thing, or, whatever it is. So doing all those flips, I got pretty good at keeping track of all the numbers. So I'm very conscious about that. And I'd just like to say, I never lost money on a single one of those flips. I think I have about 40 under my belt on the cars. Worst I ever did was break even. So
That's impressive, dude.
it's how you buy it, not how you sell it.
Yeah, but you got. I mean, but it. Yeah, I guess that's true. But you have to have that eye to recognize what you're buying.
People ask me about shit like that. To me, it's kind of like common sense. But not to sound like a fucking douche here, but like, to me, it's sort of common sense. Like, if you know about anything, whether it's tap dancing shoes or, I don't know, buying paper in bulk, like, if you know about it, you can spot a good deal when you see one, right? So
Yeah.
my only job as someone who wants to flip something is to become familiar with whatever market it is and be able to spot that deal so that I don't have to, like, go running numbers on every fucking thing that comes online, right? So like if I still to this day I don't flip that many cars anymore, but to this day, every night I go home, I still it's like OCD. Like I have to check it. Like or like FOMO. Like I'm fearful of missing out. I will go on Craigslist, offer up Facebook Marketplace, fucking everything, and I'll run through the same things that I know about well, or know kind of a lot about, which is pre 1975 cars. And most of these sites have a posted today option. So I'll click posted today and then just put in, everything pre 1975 cars, early motorcycles, like porcelain, old vintage signs and stuff, VX cameras. I have like my list of things that I just go through, see what popped up for the day, and even right now, I'm passing on some things that I would probably go get if I wasn't as busy as I am. But yeah, to this day, it's not my main source of income anymore. But I have to check it, and I'm not against making an extra couple grand if something pops up or a few grand.
Well,
So,
is the housing thing your main source of income?
oh yeah, now yeah,
But that's the same thing. You're flipping those, aren't you?
for sure. Yeah, pretty much the same exact thing. A lot of fucking big words and shit that you gotta learn, but other than that, I mean, it's more or less the same thing. You got to deal with like escrows, and it's a bigger asset, so people are a little more hesitant to just sell it at a discount to you. Like they want to make sure they're really getting as much as they can, especially out here where it's like some of these people paid like 18 grand for their house in 1970, and it's worth 750,000 now, even though they didn't take care of it at all.
God.
It's a complete pile of shit. So like when people do sell, it's not like you're in fucking North Carolina and the house is worth less than your car. Like people are pretty careful about selling it, and they go through the motions, for the most part, most people. So it's a little more involved for sure, and little bit different process, but more or less the same thing.
Yeah, you just leveled up and you leveled up in your flipping.
That's what I've been doing since I figured it out. Like I said from the first thing is just like I think the first thing I ever sold on Craigslist was like a metal like a one of those little ass red skateboard rails, the adjustable ones. Like somebody like the neighbor kid down the street or whatever had it, and I don't know. I sold that. So it started with a rail on Craigslist, and it's come to the houses. But through all of that, it went to motorcycles and dirt bikes, and then cars, and then more expensive cars, and now here. So it's just taking the logical next step. You know, every few years, I guess.
So what do you do with the houses? Like, do you hire people, or do you do the work yourself on there? You have a whole like system where you buy them and flip them around. Like, how do you typically do those sort of things? I mean, are you like a regular like? Are you gonna be like a? We love to watch. Our family loves to watch all the HGTV stuff. So you're like hometown Chip Gaines over here, where you're like redoing a house and flipping it, or is it quicker than that?
It varies just depending on the property, but there's basically three ways I look at every deal we come across, and some of these are off market, some of them are on market, like on the MLS, and basically I look at it first and foremost as a rental, and I'm not really in a position to buy rentals personally right this second, just because I don't have proper tax returns for the last couple of years, because flipping cars is kind of a cash business, right? So, and I haven't been doing this for a terribly long time, but I don't have the tax returns to prove that I can buy these places, even though bank account would say otherwise. And but first of all, I look at them as a rental, because my partner, the guy I work with, he's all about that. He's got 50 rentals in California, and if it works as a rental, you definitely want to keep it as a rental. But most things in California don't work as rentals unless you get them. You got to buy them really smart. Let's just leave it at that. So the majority of them don't really work as that. Next thing I'll do is look at it as kind of two different lenses. How much can I make if we flip it, and how much can I make if we wholesale it? And the flip is obvious. It's like HGTV type of stuff, right? You go on with the crew and fix it all up and everything. And to answer your question about if I'm doing it, nah, I think my time is better spent looking for more deals and talking to people and doing that side of the things. And we have a couple crews that do the flips. And then like I was saying, you just look at it through two different lenses. Do you want to flip it, do that, or do you want to wholesale it? Wholesale it essentially means that you acquire it, like you get the contract as if you're going to buy it. You sign it with the homeowner, the seller, whatever, and from there you can just assign the contract or sell the contract to a different flipper. So if you get it, say you got something at 300 grand and it's worth, I don't know, it's worth 450, and some guy is willing to take 130 spread, you can sell it to him for 320, make a quick 20 grand by just shuffling some paper. And you don't have to go. I just sold one I just did that this week on one. I didn't go to it. I didn't talk to the homeowner. I didn't do anything. Somebody else brought it to me like, hey, I can't sell this. Like, can you, I need it sold. I put down a $3,000 non-refundable deposit. Can you sell this? And I'm like, yeah, I'll call some of my guys. I call some people, and sure enough, fucking guy had it under contract at 195. I sold to somebody for 210, and I didn't even have to fucking talk to the homeowner on that one. Like, that was as easy as it gets. As easy as it gets right there. So kind of just see what avenue is best. If we can make a quick 20, 30, 40, 50 grand, whatever, just doing a wholesale where we shuffle some paper, then let's do that. Or, if it's a fairly easy one, like it doesn't have any like major structural issues or just stuff that's going to like drag out the process, liens against, not liens, but like, city violations and like shit like that. As long as it's not something like that and we can get in and out fairly quickly, then we'll look a little harder at flipping it. So
it's kind of the flipping industry, when you're like listening to you talk and you're like, it's just kind of like common sense. My brother's really good at it. Like, he's really good at doing stuff like that too. And one of the biggest things, like his biggest asset to doing that, is not being emotionally tied to the thing. Like,
oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, when they go in to buy, you started with cars or further than that, but like when people start buying cars and dirt bikes and motorcycles up to houses, they get emotionally tied to an idea of what they want. And so they want it to be worth more than it is. Or they want this particular style, so they'll pay more than what they probably should have for that thing. And then they hold on to it until they get what they think it's worth in their mind. You know what I mean?
I don't have that in me. That doesn't exist. I know it exists in other people though, which is, I think, what makes me fairly good at flipping things, is because I know I don't have them personally, but in my head, I know like, oh dude, like, all original one owner car, like with full receipts and, like the whole thing, like somebody's going to pay me $5,000 extra for this car strictly because I have the receipts. It's a one owner, all this bullshit that I really don't fucking care about, but I know someone does. Or with the house, it's a Spanish style in this certain neighborhood or whatever. It's like, yeah, the Spanish style ones go for 30 grand more than the other ones. Like, and I don't know, just shit like that. But yeah, I do not have that bone in my body. I don't get attached to anything. Every single thing I own is for sale, and at a fairly reasonable price, probably.
Yeah, no, I mean, it sounds like you're making money, not ripping people off, but you know what the thing is worth because you're not emotionally tied to it.
Pretty much. I mean, the thing that they're trading to me, they're essentially trading equity for speed and convenience. Is all it is.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to make your life really fucking easy. It's the same thing as going to a pawn shop. It's the same thing as selling your car to CarMax or trading it in instead of selling it to a private party. It's like, it's all the same fucking thing. CarMax is going to pay you less than the guy on fucking Craigslist will pay you. But what do you get? You get speed and convenience. And you're done. Over with. You don't have, and in this instance, the homeowner, granted, not all of these are off market, but a lot of them are. The homeowner doesn't have to hire a realtor. They don't have to pay closing costs. They don't have to fix the place up. They don't have to, if there's a bunch of junk in there, they don't have to move the shit out. You don't even got to sweep. Like, you don't have to do anything. And the process takes 10 days instead of 2 months, 3 months, or whatever, you know? So it's a trade-off like anything else. Yeah, you're going to give it to me cheaper, but I'm providing you a service by doing it quickly and efficiently and, you know, relieving you of your headache like that, you know?
I understand that because I've had to do that before with a house, and the house was nice, grant you. It was like taken care of. It was a nice house in a nicer neighborhood, but I had to get out of it. Like, I needed to get out of it and fairly quickly, right? So I needed something to happen, and I didn't really have the time or anything to deal with finding a realtor, listing it, all that stuff. I needed it to just go. Like, I needed to move on from this thing. And this guy that kind of does what you do, but he's a realtor but he does the same thing, and he lives in them for like 2 years and then he flips them or whatever, but he'll buy different properties and rent them, and he's trying to build his business. He just happened to drive by and see my sign. He came over and he's like, "Hey man, what do you want for it?" I go, "Honestly, this is what I said, don't try to lowball me, because I'm going to lowball you right now. This is what I want. This is what I need. If you can give me this, you'll make me very happy." And the guy was like, "Yeah, not a problem." It's like, "Sweet, let's do it." He goes, "I'll write up all the paperwork. Here you go, bam, done." Deal was done. I'm like as happy as I can be. I could have got so much more for the thing, but even looking back on it, I go, man, I'm really thankful that Drew came by my house and saw that sign, because that helped me out with a smooth transition in life. And I'm like, I like this. This is perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, you get it. I mean, not a lot of people do. I mean, I spent the first, I don't know, like several months that I was doing this cold calling, like nonstop. And you just hear everything in the book when you're cold calling, right? So it's like people just calling you a monster, and you're demon, and like, you know, you're taking advantage of people, and you're, you know, gentrifying the neighborhood and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, bro, everybody I've ever done business with, though, is like, not only are we close at the end, like tight, like they're thrilled to do business with us. And I always just said to those people, I was like, I mean, if you ask the last 3 homeowners I bought from, they'd probably say differently. And it's like, nobody's forcing you to do it, right? Like, I'm making you an offer. Like, you can take it, you can leave it. If you're in the right situation, if we're a good fit for each other, if it makes sense for the both of us, then it makes sense for the both of us. I'm not fucking forcing you to take this offer, you know? So that's what it is. Granted, I try not to give offers. I try to have them give me the price first, because I don't want to spill my candy in the lobby. I don't want them to know my price. I want to know your price. But still, you know, like
the crazy thing about that cold calling stuff, and I'm in sales. I have been in sales for quite a long time. And I mean, if you're a commission salesman, when you eat what you kill, that changes your whole mindset on how you do things in your process, and learning how not to be afraid of going and asking somebody for, like you're saying, cold calling. Like, how many people would just go and it's like, hey, how much you want? You like, what are you thinking for this house? Like, you want to sell your house? You want to sell your house? You want to do business? Like, and you said they get mad at you, and then you move on to the next house. Like, nothing happened to you. They didn't hurt you. They just yelled at you, right? Called you some names, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
But like, the amazing thing is the fear of somebody being able to call somebody they don't know. We're talking on 2 days' notice, the both of us together, on, and
Yeah.
we're putting this out to the internet where people can hear it. And
Hmm.
there's people who are scared to do it in private, just to walk up and say, "Hey, like I want to do business, or I've got an idea, or how much do you want for that house? I know it's not for sale, but would you be willing to sell it? What's your price?" People wouldn't even do that. They'd be like, "Nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm too scared." But because you're one of the people that is willing to break that little barrier, you make money doing it.
Pretty much. And that's the ultimate test, in my opinion, is the cold calling, because you're not face to face with anyone. There's no real danger, so you can't give me a legitimate excuse as to why you can't do it, right? If you're like, and I'm thinking of this now because like I'm helping some other people kind of like get started, and the success rate is probably like fuck, like 0.5%, like 0.25%, like so many people that get into it, they just get discouraged in the first month or two of trying, and just kind of like let it fall by the wayside. um but like I've been more or less training, kind of like coaching, helping this kid that comes into the office. I'm sitting in the office right now, um that that came in, and he was working for free, and basically just like a, what do you call him, a
Intern?
intern, yeah, basically interning, and just trading his time for knowledge, and for us, obviously, he was trying to drum up business. So I kind of just went through the whole process of teaching him not too long ago, and continually helping him, every day pretty much. But he just got his first deal yesterday. So shout out to Max Wise, cool kid, and he's a couple years younger than me. He's like 21 or 20. He's 20, I think, and just got his first deal, $28,000 deal for a 20-year-old. He's gonna make his cut of it. He'll make half of what he made all of last year for a couple days work.
Dude, how can you survive on that in California?
I He's lives with his parents, and probably doesn't have that many expenses.
That's wild. But man, shout out to him. That's awesome that he's hustling like that. That's another thing that takes a lot, is to go and work for free and to learn something, and that's committed. Like, you're committed. When you're
Oh,
doing that,
that's what I was getting at, is like I expected when he came in, first person that we've, I mean, I guess it wasn't a hire, but like first person that me and my partner Mark have brought on, other than just me and him going at it. And I had, I was almost certain that like we were gonna have to go through like 4, 5, 6, 10, I don't know, however many people, to find somebody that would stick with it, right? Because like so many people are just, it's just the nature of the beast. Like they're just gonna bail. Like they can't take it. They can't take the heat. Like, and we had this motherfucker cold calling for like 2 months straight. The first month, I had him on like a dud of a list. Like we have these lists of all these homeowners. I had him on a fucking dud. Like I had gone through it like 20 times myself. Like it was dead. It was a fucking dead. It was beat to hell. And I just had him on that one, just like knowing in the back of my mind, like there's almost no chance you get anything from that one. Like it's a dead horse. Like you're beating a dead horse. And uh, but I just want to see, like his tonality, like how he talked to people, if he was any good, and just also, the 20th time you call it, a lot less people answer than the first time. So I just wanted to see if he would like deal, how he would deal with that, and like would he persevere, would he bitch about it, like what's his style, right? So the first month I just had him doing that, and after the first month I was like, damn, he might really stick with it. And then I gave him some good lists after that, and he started getting some traction and being able to talk to people, have like real conversations with them. And at that point he kind of like knew, some of the terminology and stuff, so he sounded like he sort of knew what he was doing. And then from there, had him doing, at this point he does that a little bit, and he also does like a lot of just making offers to agents, like on market stuff. which is a whole different beast in itself. Kind of a different process than the off market ones, like you said you sold. Um, but anyways, yeah, he got this one on market dealing with an agent, which is actually harder in my opinion. And he's get we're company will make 28 grand and he'll get a good chunk of that. So um, I'm stoked for him, and I was surprised. Where I was going with that is I'm surprised the first guy we got stuck with it was where that was going.
Well, it's this is one of those things. Everybody wants to be a realtor because they see the successful realtor and they want to be a realtor.
I'm not a realtor.
No, but
Not a realtor.
I'm using it as an example. I know you're not a realtor, but
Okay,
what I'm
okay,
saying is like
okay.
I've known lots of them, and it seems like your industry, like what you're doing, is not something that you walk in and you learn it, and then all of a sudden you start making money. Like anything, like being a realtor. When I talked to, I looked into it, and I had some really good friends, super successful. I was like, hey man, what does it take? He goes like, are you ready to live in your mom's basement for 5 years and not make any money? Because it takes a while for to get your name and to go and to do this. Like it takes a while. You got to put a lot of hours in to get to a spot where you're just making money. He goes, and,
Yeah,
like once you get the ball rolling, it gets easier and easier, but it takes 3 to 5 years of no money to make money. And like how many
yeah,
people are willing, you got to really love being a realtor, the job itself, to stick it out for 3 years doing that sort of thing. And so that's what, like, your thing right there. A lot of people might say, I'm listening to you and I'm going, dude, I'm going to go out and I'm going to flip stuff because it's easy, right? If Sauce does it, he makes it sound easy. I'm going to go out and do it. It's like, no, Sauce has put in a lot of time selling a red rail when he was a kid to now and cold calling and beating down doors and knows what he's doing. Like, you put in the hours. And what people don't realize is, like, you made that comment, is why I'm saying this. You made the comment about people, like, losing interest and fading away. And it's like, how long could you do it for no money? And then you know if you would really love what you're doing.
yeah. I did it for, I think it was probably, I forget exactly, 4 or 5 months before I got my first one. And I didn't even have anybody teaching me really. Like it was, I had my partner, Mark. I mean, he's an old timer. He's got a ton of rentals. He's got 400, flips under his belt and everything. But the way he was marketing it wasn't like cold calling. He doesn't really have like current like modern sales experience like that. Like he did door to door sales like 30 years ago or something. So he knows the basics and everything. But I didn't have anybody to watch that was like, oh, this guy just did it in front of my eyes. Like it's possible. Like and I can hear him on the phone, like what he's saying and everything. Like it was kind of just like YouTube, partially Mark. I mean, he definitely had some good tips and everything, but um, he's not like in the cut, like doing it like I am. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it was a wild ride, and I think it took like 4 or 5 months to get the first one, but fuck, lucky for me, I have that like flipping experience, so like I could still flip things on the side and
Yeah.
make a little money and get by. I've never had a normal 9 to 5 job personally. It's always just been flipping stuff. So I'm confident no matter what happens in life, I'll always be able to get by just by having that. So even though I was here 12 hours a day, like making calls and just like chasing deals and whatever, I still, fit in enough time to, flip a fucking tailgate or like part out a Volkswagen or something like, so I could, put gas in my car and shit in the time being. And I think people, if they're gonna do something like that, need to consider that ahead of time, whether it's like signing up for Uber or getting your flip on or saving up some money prior so that you can, live on it while you're experimenting, I guess. Something to think about because it's probably not going to happen real quick unless you have, unless you're coming from like a realtor background and you're already experienced and you go into that, maybe then. But otherwise, be prepared one way or another to eat shit for, several months.
It's kind of wild to hear your story and then to realize like you've been doing this your entire life from when you're like the same sort of thing with trying to get in the bike crew. Like you needed to get in the bike crew to go to the places to hang out with your buddies and you needed a purpose and you started filming stuff. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you learned how to film stuff and then you got in that car, you're riding, you're going to the places and you're making yourself productive. And you've been doing that forever just from childhood experiences, man. It's like in your blood it's like a habit to figure out how to make things work.
I think that's selling right there. The bigger problem you solve, the more money you make. So yeah, I guess so. I didn't think about it like that, but yeah, I guess.
No, normally you don't. It's like I can see that because you're telling me your story. Like I'm listening to the whole thing. I'm like, man, this dude's like, he's done that his whole life. Like he's done it his whole life. He's just done it, you know. But to you, it's like it's normal. It's everyday life. Like it's just what you do. There's nothing special about it. It's just you go about your life. Like I want to go make a sale. It gives me if it fills me, I've got a purpose. I'm doing a job. I'm making people happy. I'm fixing problems. Go home, make some money, live a good life.
Yeah. And I gotta say too that like I thought that from the jump, like when I was a little kid, I I I just thought like, oh, like I'm going to make it wasn't like a question. It was like, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money. Like it's like a given. Like it's obvious to me in my head, like I'm going to, right? And being in BMX and around that type of crowd, not to knock them, you know, I love the whole BMX community. I'm friends with everybody, but like I think it had some level of negative effect on my like thought process about money and stuff because everybody's fucking broke. Like even the like a lot of the pro riders and shit are broke. So it's like they have this like kind of I don't know like the bad money sense and kind of like talk down at times on people that like have money, and it definitely did something to my brain that I had to snap out of. Like I can't really describe it well. Like it did something to my brain though, where like I was starting to feel that way, like a little bit, you know, like never fully sucked in, you know. The old me was still in there, like they could like, oh, you're fucking crazy, but like some part of me somewhere in there just wanted to be like, oh no, just you know, just fucking flip bikes and signs and just like get by, you know, like that's all you need to do, whatever. But like, and it took a while to like break that, and I'm still kind of breaking it right now. But like, it's just that like that little kid in me thinking like, oh, you're gonna make a shitload of money. I'm like, bypass the retarded stoner teenager and fucking do what's right for that little kid, you know, like that's what I gotta tell myself. But
oh, dude, that's awesome, man. This has been an absolute blast, Sauce. I've had a great time, dude. You are a rad dude.
Thank you, Aaron. You too.
Hey, thanks, man. Even if I rollerblade, even if I'm clicking my heels in the air off the edge of a curb,
I'm not hating on it. I'm all for it. If I was like a salty like 15-year-old angry teenager right now, like I'd probably say you're fucking gay, but nah, it's tight. Scooters are tight, bikes are tight, skateboards are tight. It's all fucking tight.
That's the way I view it, man. That's the way I view it, dude. Sauce, thank you for being on, man. Appreciate it. Give a shout out to, I guess, if you want to shout out your business or anything. I mean, it's up to you.
If you got a piece of shit you want to sell, give me a call. Or I guess DM me at Sauce the Boss. And shout out to the Common Crew and Home Brand Properties, I guess. So that's that. And thanks for having me on. I don't even know the name of this podcast. Where do I even find it? Like what?
9-5 Adventures. 9-5 Adventures. I'll send you the link for sure. But
deal. Let me take a quick fucking photo here so that I can post it when we're live here. Sorry, man.
You got my squinty eyes too. Every time I
wait,
smile,
I was smiling, dude. That's kind of off brand. I gotta do it.
You're off brand to smile. You're off brand to smile.
Yeah. I got to get back on the Instagram shit, dude. I haven't been posting anything just because I've been like locked in fucking trying to figure out this whole real estate game. I haven't been posting shit. Like even my progress really with the real estate too much just because it's I don't know. I'm not one to like talk before I've walked the walk. So even now that I've done quite a few deals, I'm still like hesitant. Like, well, that guy's done like 100 though. But I forget that like to the guy who's done 0, I probably know a lot. So I got to get back on there and fucking keep posting shit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because I like I said, you just one look at your site, I'm like, that guy's rad, man. I want to have him on the podcast. That'd be so much fun to talk to that guy.
I appreciate it. And sorry, I'm gonna let you go. I know you're kind of closing it up there, but I just have a quick question.
Go for it. No,
like
go for it.
What type of people do you have on this here podcast? Like is there like a theme or is it just like whatever?
So I chose the hardest route to get a popular podcast, and that is to have everybody I'm interested in on the podcast. So it's like a wide variety of everybody. If I had to, people ask me to classify it, it sounds weird to say it out loud. Like it sounds kind of cheesy. It's like a lifestyle podcast, I guess, if you wanted to say it. But it's really like I've had Rick Thorne on the podcast. I've had a guy that won the Ultra 6633 in Antarctica. It's a 387-mile race, self-sustained across there.
Wow.
I've had CrossFit athletes on. I've had professional rollerbladers on. You name it, like businessmen. I've had cops on. I've had investors on. It is a wide variety of, just anybody that I'm interested. If I look at somebody, I go, man, I'd really like to talk to that person. That's who I'm going to have on. And I'll ask them, so
that's how I would want to do mine too. Like if I was ever going to do one, I don't have any time right now, but if I was going to do one, that would be the way I'd do it too. Like I don't give a fuck if it's the right for the YouTube algorithm at this point, contrary to how we started this with the tags and chasing the clout. Yeah. At this point, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about the YouTube algorithm. I don't give a fuck if I get even one follower from this. I just want to have a good conversation with, whoever this person is I'm interested in and effectively get to pick their brain without asking them to pick their brain, because a lot of people don't like being asked if you can pick their brain, especially like investors and like rich guys and stuff.
Yeah.
Just tip to you or anybody out there. Don't ask them if you can pick their brain. That's like the least favorite question among any fucking rich like investor dude or anybody, because everybody wants to pick their brain or take them out to coffee or whatever. Like the guy I work with, oh my, he gets so mad. People ask him to, not mad, actually mad, but he's just like, bro, like, no, I don't want you to pick my brain. Like, give me something in return. Like, that's why I started charging some like the consulting fee, like I was talking about. So,
well, I mean, this is what I love is that I learned so much about improving my life. It's not in the same area. I'm not going to go flip houses. That's not what I'm going to do. Yeah. But like every conversation I have with people like this, I learn. And I do the same thing that I'm doing on this podcast. If I was in person, like if I was meeting you for the first time, hanging out with your BMX crew at a skate spot or a riding spot or whatever, like if I was out there and I saw you, I would start up a conversation and just talk to you, like, and just, if you want to say pick your brain, if you want to call it that, like I like to know people's story. They're fascinating, and I can learn so many things about how to improve my life as a fundamental that like, I'm like, man, people are so unique and special, like the way they think and created and their ideas, that I'm like, I can soak up all this knowledge from them, and then hopefully something I have to say back to them helps them out, and like I can be this person's friend. Like it's an awesome. That's just an awesome thing. That's why I love the podcast so much, just because I get to, it's an excuse for me to invite people on and talk to them.
That's the sickest part about a podcast, really, is just the getting to know whoever your desire, whatever you want to know about. It's like, oh, let me just, especially when you're a little bit bigger of a podcast, it's like, oh, I'm kind of interested in fucking science this week. Let me just call Elon Musk, or let me call this fucking guy. Like, and there's no better way to like retain all that information than to have a conversation one on one with somebody, like, and have it on video. Like, how are you gonna learn better than that? And like you're saying, you get a nugget, or like you learn something from everyone, right? Like, I don't know if I thought about it, I probably did learn something talking to you. But that one thing that you just made me think of talking to you, and who knows where it could lead, is when we were talking about malls in the 90s, like an hour ago. And I was thinking, as we were talking through this whole thing, I'm just like, malls. And I've had this thought before, like, what are we going to do with all the malls when they all shut down, right? And like, because it's going to happen. Like, what are we going to do with all those? And I've thought about that a lot. Like, what are the opportunities there? And I don't know why, but when you said mall, it like clicked in my head, and I was like, oh, you make an old folks city in there, like a town for old folks that has like on-site like emergency room if someone has like a heart attack. You got all your stores in there. You got you live there, like it's like apartments built in with stores and like doctors and emergency room, and you got an on-site like fucking what do you call it, ambulance to go to the hospital like if you need to, and like fucking shuffleboard 24 hours a day, like you make a fucking town, like a town, like you could sell your house and buy a condo or rent an apartment or whatever in this place, and it's your own fucking old people world, like everything you could possibly want as an old person. And I don't know, I was thinking about that the whole time we were talking.
That sounds like the most rad nursing home of all time.
It not necessarily, I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but like not necessarily a nursing home is my thought, but just like you know how they have like old folks communities,
yeah,
like 55 plus kind of thing.
Yep.
It's like you could have that, but all inclusive. Like you pay X amount every month, and you eat as much. It's like a cruise. You eat as much as you want. Like you can see the nurse. Like there's guys like, it's safe as fuck. No one's ever gonna break into your house. No one's ever gonna jump you at the fucking liquor store or the Chinese food restaurant or like whatever. And yeah, I don't know. It kind of crossed my mind. I wanted to timestamp that on here just in case I ever like buy a mall and create an old folks home, so that I could say on March 4th at 8:24 I had this thought. So I just wanted to say it on here before we bailed.
It is actually a fantastic idea. It sounds like I'm just picturing the amount of like Miller High Life that's going to be drank at the bar at that place.
Oh my god, yeah, it's got to have a pop. Do you know how much pussy some of those old guys are going to get? Like they start losing their mind. They know a couple things. Like I've met a couple old guys like this. I've talked to a lot of old guys in my life, buying these old cars and driving Route 66 and doing all kinds of shit like that. And let me tell you, they only want a handful of things when they get older. They actually not want. They only know a couple of things when they get older. It might not be your name. It might not be how many kids they have. It might not be anything like that. But they know that they want to fuck. Like at least some of them. At least a good chunk of them. Like they don't know much, but they know they want to fuck. Some of them, maybe they're not as. Maybe their cock didn't make it as long as the other ones, but God, if yours makes it and you're in the old folks home, whew, not all of those things work. So you're getting a lot of tail in there.
Dude,
yours is cranking.
My parents my dad was an administrator, and my mom was director of nurses. They went as like a package to nursing homes and facilities like that. And you're not lying at all, dude. Like the things that they have seen and know, like it's like, wow, bro.
Dude, I heard. Oh my God, I heard it's like an STD super spreader in there. Like they're just passing them around, dude.
That's pretty true. It can be. It can be very true. That's not a lie. That's not a lie. It's
I don't know,
it's a
I don't know
Wild
how we
West, man.
got
They're
here.
just like,
Oh,
I'm old. It's time to have fun.
I got nothing else to do in here. Also, like I'm tired of playing fucking checkers. Like, I'm done with this. Let's fuck.
Yeah, my kids don't want to come see me. They stuck me in this place. You know what? There's a bunch of ladies in here.
Yes. And the STDs are running rampant, but I'm on my damn near on my deathbed anyway, so who gives a fuck? Pretty much is my understanding of old folks' homes. So
I think you just sold old folks' homes to anybody who's thinking about going in one. You probably just sold them on it right now.
we're gonna use this for an ad for my new small city, my mall city, in
Your mall
5 years.
city.
From now.
You're on death's doorstep. Come have fun.
If you're on death's doorstep and your dick still works, get the fuck into Sauce's old fucking people emporium. Yeah, it'll be good. We'll promote safe sex. There'll be like condom dispensers everywhere.
Oh, that's a good way to come back from that.
Yeah. We'll put a lot of condom dispensers. Now, up to you if you use it. I'm not going to force anything upon anybody, but we're going to promote it.
It's a free country in Sauce World.
It is. It sure fucking is. And it might not be outside of those walls, but in Sauce World, it's a free fucking country, okay? I don't care who's in office. I don't care who the fuck, where this place goes. It's a free country in Sauce World.
It's the best, dude. It's the best.
All right, now that we're done talking about old people transmitting STDs, I'm good now.
Okay. All right. Thanks, man.